Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome, welcome, welcome to Pink Robe Chronicles. Good morning. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, good morning. Oh, give thanks unto the Lord. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Greetings to each of you. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Come on into the room. Come on into the room. We are live. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Yes, yes, it is good to see you. It is good to see your names. Good morning. Hey, Rhonda. Good morning, Carmen. Good morning, Dr. Candace, Dr. Kosua. You were starting to get worried. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. I know I'm not gonna be on long. I'm sorry, I haven't listened. This is how backwards I am. Good morning. I haven't even shown my face. My throat is really sore, and I went to get some medicine, and it's not working yet. And so I had a little coughing attack, and really just got to sleep early this morning. And so was just really taking my time and even wondering if I was going to show up, but I have shown up because I knew that you would, and I am here. Ashe, let me just get over to here early this morning so that I can be on the chat here too. Good morning over to our YouTube family. Now, for those of you who are also on, good morning. I can't see who's watching, but it says that there are 5 of you, so good morning. Over in Instagram, I'm moving slow. So yesterday I went on Instagram Live just to get a feel for it, to make sure that I was doing everything that needs to be done. Excuse me, to be live in that place, in that space. And I thought that I would go live this morning, but I moved I'm moving a little bit too slowly. So a few announcements. I know that there is currently DigiDeacon training happening. Our dear DigiDeacon Natasha, absolutely, listen, where would we be without her? So I know that she has tapped some of you to help out with those volunteer responsibilities, and I encourage those of you who do and who can move around fairly quickly and find things and drop things in the link in our timeline and respond to questions and monitor the Facebook Live and the YouTube Live. I invite you to do so, to just drop me an inbox and I will pass. Yes, Carmen, you too can be a DigiDeacon and I will pass that information along. So I'm going to move also a little bit slower today because I'm going to attempt to talk to you all and do this at the same time. So before I even start, just continue to greet each other, right? The peace of Christ be with you and also with you. I want to, boom, I think I'm doing it. I want to make sure, hold on y'all, give me a sec. Let me, how did I just do this? I'm coming. Okay, here we go, and here's the chat. 1 second. I am going to put in the chat right here. Paste. Boom. Look at me. Now let me put it over here in YouTube. 1 second. paste. Look at me. Ashe. Ah, y'all not ready. Look at me. Look at me. Okay, so what I have put in the chat is a PayPal. I want to just start off early. There are many needs in the land, in the world right now, and I want to start with honoring our sibling, Reverend Yanni Davis. For those of you who do not know Yanni Davis, she is a gift to the world. She is fighting triple time, if you will. Some years back, both of Yanni's kidneys failed. She did not know there was an issue with any of the organs in her renal area. Both of her kidneys failed, and she received a kidney maybe 2 or 3 years after that, and now her third kidney, according to what medical science says, is also failing. So she is experiencing chronic and acute kidney disease, kidney failure. So you heard me speak on last week about why this is important to me for my own health disclosure. But Yanni is raising money to live and to support herself and to take care of her medical expenses. And so she has invited those communities, those spiritual gatherings, those churches to take up a special offering for her today. And so I know that we mentioned it on last week, but I just want to honor her request by also including it again in our announcements for us to stand with our dear sibling Yanni, Reverend Yanni, out in California, and to send her prayers. Ashe. She absolutely needs our prayers, and she needs our action. So I wanted to send her our prayers and our action. Ashe. Also, I'll bring that link up, another link up shortly, because I'm not as fast as Natasha Ashe. But the sister for whom we just gave a praise report on last week, whom we helped during the holidays, is also facing crisis. And, you all know some of you don't know, but for some, it is a really hard, for someone to ask for anything is really hard. It is a humbling experience. It is not the first thing that you want to go to. It's that pesky four-letter word, help. And I know that, excuse me, I've certainly struggled with that, but have found such community in it when I have asked, and when community has supported. And I believe that that is who we are, and that is what we are supposed to do. Many of you are observing Lent right now. You are smack dead in the middle of your Lenten reflection. Some of you who are observing the more traditional Lenten practice of fasting and sacrificing pleasure, sacrificing what you get joy from. And so I know I was certainly socialized as a younger person to give up things like chocolate and meat or soda. We used to also have these things called gleaners. And in these gleaners, you would put quarters in the gleaners so that at the end of the Lenten season, that would be your offering, which would be like $100 and something. That would be your offering. And so, I must say that I have struggled with that practice for myriad reasons. And those reasons being, it's hard for me to talk about sacrifice to communities that are already marginalized, that are already sacrificing so much, that are already without, that are already struggling just to keep their head above water. And I don't get what it means for communities, particular sectors of communities, to remember their mortality when they are bordering mortality daily. Ooh, y'all remember gleaners when they are, I don't want to get on my soapbox here, but it might be too late. I might already be on it. When they are, thank you, Carmen. I see you standing in. Come on, Digi Deacon in training. When they are, this is why I appreciate like Monica Coleman's work around reflecting and devoting time to reflect. And so I just, would love for you to consider including on your reflection time some of these prayer requests. There's a theme that I have for every Lenten season that I've not yet spoken from this year in 2022, which is giving up, holding on. So what does it mean for us to give up, holding on to people, persons, places, things that are no longer helpful or that are not helpful for our present or our future? Oh shoot, y'all! I almost dropped my water. There's a Lenten reflection there. So I'm gonna stop there and go into our reflection, which is this here flesh. Bear with me. I don't know if I'll make it through all of it because my throat is really on fire. And I'm sure I probably need to be on vocal rest. And I'm going to I can't talk any louder. So this is where we are today. And also, thank you for those of you who have purchased your tickets for the clearing. There is something I need to deal with myself on this. I need to deal with myself on why I'm pushing what need this is presenting for me to still be in somewhat of a little bit of pain and showing up. That's not a model that I subscribe to. I don't think it's okay. I'm here now though, but I need to observe and check myself and say out loud, Melva, that this is not okay. That I don't know if this is a moment of fear of missing out. Whatever it is, it's not okay. It's not okay. I acknowledge it and will be hitting my journal and making sure my next therapy appointment is intact. Ashe, do not follow this model. It is death dealing. This is the model that so many of our leaders, and particularly Black women leaders, have followed to just be there for the people. Ashe, to be there for the people and to be present and to show up, because what if I don't show up? Well, then if you don't show up, the people will carry on. Ashe. Because ultimately, we, they are not the leader, right? We are not the source. We are a resource. And the moment that we begin, speak to me, Holy Spirit, Jesus. And the moment we begin to buy in, come on here, Nat Bishop, Trisha, the moment we begin to buy in that it will all fail if we are not present, is the moment that we could pretty much really expect our mortality sooner rather than later. I'm honoring my body. I'm honoring it. Ashe. Yeah, I'm honoring it. And the other thing is that I also really like being in community with you all, right? So that if I wasn't on, I would be thinking what y'all doing, what y'all reading, hey y'all. So the way that I can honor my body, right, is to just not simply get off. It's not too late, right? But to sort of monitor how I'm moving, right? So I just needed to say that out loud for me, for me to hear myself say it, so that I can check it. Okay, so chapter 4 in this here flesh. And I should ask, I could have someone who wants to read it can come on with me. Let me see. Who is camera ready and voice ready? If someone wants to do that, they can. What y'all saying on here? Ashe, I receive it. So this is our fourth week. This is our fourth week, and usually we only go about 4 weeks. I might carry this a little bit longer. I'm gonna go and shoot. Let's go to rest. So I'm skipping chapters. I'm going down to chapter 12. Let's go to rest. My goodness, come on, Cole. Let the Spirit speak through you to me. Rest. Listen for a word from the Lord. Every black woman is born knowing how to time travel. Already, her first sentence is every black woman is born knowing how to time travel. The first woman to disclose this to me, whether by purpose or accident, was my grandma. She was leaning back in a suede recliner, and I was on the floor plucking up stray fibers like flowers. We were talking off and on while the television hummed in the background. Her eyelids slowly closed as she caressed her house dress in between her pointer finger and thumb, and I looked up, and she was gone. It took my breath away. I stood up and slowly approached her empty throne, unsure what I was moving toward. I hovered above the air she left behind. I closed my eyes, and as I started to wave my hand into the emptiness, it met her velvet chest. I opened my eyes, and she was staring at me with a smirk. "Little girl," she purred out, "what in the hell are you doing?" I asked, "Where did you go?" She said, "Honey, I'm just resting my eyes." To rest is a special kind of power. Even someone who is direly overworked can close her eyes for 2 minutes and, by the mercy of God, find those seconds stretched out into years, allowing the healing and regeneration she deserves to come in a blink. It seems like anytime God is talking about salvation in the Bible, he makes a point to name rest. I'll refresh tired bodies, Jeremiah 31:25. Find rest for your souls, Matthew 11:29. And in Psalm 23:32, we have, he makes me lie down. What a peculiar answer to the valley of the shadow of death. My goodness, Lord. Lord. You might expect God's response to be to have people rise. You might expect God's response to be to have people rise to empower them to fight. But God's answer is unapologetic care for the body, the deepest yet most neglected of needs. What does it mean that in response to the terrors of the world, God would have us lie down, to eat, to drink from still waters? The most enduring yet undermined sentiment of evangelism. Come to me, all you that are weary, and I will give you rest. Medicine. Yet when we invite people into spirituality, too often rest is reduced to an inner posture someone should adopt while exhausting their body. Speak to me, Holy Ghost. I'm here now and I'm reading it because this is the message that I need. For me to end this and get off and just, move on, I need to hear this message. I need to read this in community. And so I'm going to continue to read it in community, Ashe. That's what my body is saying to me. That my answers are here, right? Yet when we invite people into spirituality, too often rest is reduced to an inner posture someone should adopt while exhausting their body. But the Bible says, in returning and rest, you shall be saved. If the salvation you have been promised requires you to do and say more, you can be rightly suspicious of it. You say, confess your sins. Okay, and fair enough. But maybe I'm saved a little every time I rest my eyes. My God. The curse of the world has made for restless hearts, bodies, and minds. Our hands fidget. We open and close our emails. Woo! Cold. Jesus. Mm. Mm. My God. Listen, she is talking to me. We open and close our emails all day. That's what I'm doing, open and closing emails. We obsess over something we said yesterday. Did I share too much? Oh my goodness, I didn't mean it to come off like that. I wonder if there's a way that I can retrieve it. Can I take it back? I wonder that they understand it how I meant it. Is that you? It's like the atoms that make us have begun darting around in and outside of us with no awareness of each other. The current of the cosmos shifted, and now God is trying to steady us and make it so that we can be still without becoming terrified of things of ourselves. A peace once stolen, now restored. This is our journey. The atoms that make up my mind are like the tiny bits of flame that dart off of a sparkler. I envy people like my husband who will tell you more often than not that they're thinking about nothing. He can drive a car and let everything go silent in him. He's the kind who can fall asleep while he is literally speaking. For me, falling asleep is a mercy that comes only after about an hour of my soul stirring to jump out at me. I've tried to count sheep, but I couldn't count them without picturing something happening to them, some story they were in. This one just had an awful shave. That one is being slaughtered tomorrow. These next two are in love. For all my effort, the night ushers into my body a new form of restlessness. When you spend most of your days demanding life from your mind, Jesus. My God, my God, my God. When you spend most of your days demanding life from your mind, its movement can become a nuisance to any attempt to truly rest. I need to sip on that. And I'm going to read it again. When you spend most of your days demanding life from your mind, its movement can become a nuisance at any attempt to truly rest. Perhaps most foundationally, it is fear. Y'all, did I just not say this? I have not even read this chapter. Did I just not say this? This is why I'm saying. This is what, did I just not say it, Lord? Whew. Hold on, y'all. I done lost something. Perhaps most foundationally, it is fear that keeps us from the rest we are worthy of. A few weeks ago, I saw a optometrist because of issues with my eyes unrelated to my flimsy retinas. She placed her fists together and sent her pointer fingers to opposite corners of the room. Your eyes are out here. Then she slowly guided them to meet each other in the middle. We need to get them back here. She told me my pupils were massive, and when she shone a light on them, that they'd contract for a second and then give up like they were slumping. Turns out my eyes show that my sympathetic nervous system, which triggers things like fight or flight, stress responses, and the release of hormones, is overactivated. Like I'm encountering a threat at all times. And my parasympathetic nervous system, which is meant to guide me into rest and relaxation, is being held down like a baby bird who is still too heavy to use its wings. So I'm left with giant pupils and my vision drifting outward and my anxiety swallowing me when I hear a loud sound or drive at night. This is just so... Ooh, this is so... Hey, over in YouTube land, y'all hearing this? Rihanna, Miranda, A. Powell, Lisa Weaver. Good morning. Hey, Free. Yes, this is so... To treat the condition, they are putting prisms in my glasses to help steady my eyes for me. And once a day, I go into a dark room, put on these strange glasses with blue lenses, and stare at a light bulb they gave me in a paper gift bag. I get real still and force my eyes to the light as I think about how the restlessness of the world has possessed my body. As I think about how the restlessness of the world has possessed my body. As I think about how the restlessness of the world, do y'all hear this? Has possessed my body. Once possessed, we must steady ourselves habitually in order to see the way we were meant to. For some, stillness will not suffice. The stillness must mature into an inner quiet, and the noise of the exterior world ricocheting off your flesh. To cultivate habits of rest, we must discern what noise has found a way to penetrate our soul. And as we detect patterns and modes, we have more of a grounding as we resist restlessness. In this way, the silence of God, which is so often mistaken for abandonment, may be a gift to those of us who cannot steady our souls in the vibrations of the world's clangor. It's a liberation from a world that demands too much of our minds and bodies and whose noise does not relent. For others, rest is the current which drags us back into stories and emotions that terrify us so proudly that we have become numb to them in order to survive. Each sound of inactivity rouses those stories or emotions, or at least triggers our fear that they will be roused. Stillness, silence, rest, this is much to ask of a person. Stillness makes for a capable mirror. Look down in a rough and fast current and you won't see a thing. Still water allows you to lean in without danger and really see yourself. And in doing so, you may remember a liberty over yourself that is easily forgotten when things are jostling you about. Rest is not the reward of our liberation, nor something we lay hold of once we are free. It is the path that delivers us there. Rest is the path that delivers us. Oh my goodness. In California, the grim condition of my grandma's days became apparent to her. She arrived with my aunt and uncle, and they were in high school, and knew that this was not a time to complain that their clothes didn't fit and that they were still hungry after dinner. With no money and no place to go, they slept in the car. She'd stroll into the grocery store, pay for a loaf of bread, but steal the bologna. I was surviving. Listen. Shout out to Dr. Nakia Robert and her work on the carceral state. When she talks about the impotence or the influence of her work being her mom, who is now deceased, but how sometimes her mom had to do things that the society would deem unethical in order to make sure she and her children survived. This is the same way that I look at, is it Rebecca, who had the twins and the text and told one twin to betray the other twin so that he could get the birthright. There are things that have to be done to survive as a result of there being no equity and equality in these systems, as a result of a particular group's socioeconomic status, as a result of, even though the theology of sufficiency says that there is enough goods, there is enough for everyone in the world, that there is a top percent, though, who hoards what should be for everyone else in the world. So surviving, if you will. I recall seeing a person, steal some diapers and some formula. I wasn't raising my hand and saying, hey, they're stealing over here. Because I understand the need, right? To have to get what you can to be able to make it from day to day. Some things are not black and white. They are gray intentionally. And my thing is, if it is black and white, then Spirit, I need you to impress it upon the hearts of the folk who have, to begin to open up their coffers for the folk who don't. Ashe, right? This is also, I know I'm going off a little bit, but this is also, folks, all I can say is that even whom you think is the most hardened criminal doesn't become a hardened criminal because that's what they woke up saying, this is what I want to be when I grow up, right? There is always something behind that. There is always a reason why. A hungry belly will push you to do almost anything. Y'all don't hear me today? I remember my mother telling me about judging folk. I know I've gone off for a second, but this just hit a nerve about judging folk, particularly talking about judging black women or judging women and specifically black women. As my mother told me, you don't know why folks have to lay on their back sometimes instead of standing up. You don't know why. And especially, she would say, as black women who are at the bottom of the barrel, and in order for us to sometimes get ahead, there are those men, in this case, in this example she's providing, men who will demean and who will demand, in order for us to be able to take care of what we need to take care of, that this is what needs to be done. And so for women who take control of themselves and their bodies in that way, to be able to get them before they get got, listen, you don't have no place to be judging nobody. Because you don't know what people's stories are. You don't know what needs to be done. Do you hear what I say? And I dare say that my own mama, right, stayed in certain relationships way too long because she was surviving. And she was surviving for me, right? So I just needed to say that. So she strolled in the grocery store, paid for a loaf of bread, but still the bologna. I was surviving. One evening, she was driving around with my aunt and uncle asleep in the back seat, trying to quiet the stress in her head, until finally sad and worried about using too much gas, she pulled into a church parking lot to turn in for the night. She was staring through the hole in the floor of the Pinto, picking at herself and dropping tiny bits of skin through it, when a small, leathery man drummed at her window with fingernails like bark. "You all right?" And she said, "No." "You got some place to sleep?" And she was tired, and she said, "No." He was a pastor. He gave her $20 to get some food and led them to the quiet of the church auditorium. They slept in the dusty folding cots. They didn't stay long because of the roaches, but this benevolent gesture gave her a tragic fragment of what she had been denied for so long: rest. And it gave her the confidence she needed to pursue it for her and her children by any means. She found the courage to stay at a shelter for a month. This was not the rest that they were meant for, but it was something. I have to believe that if we didn't need to protect ourselves, we wouldn't be prone to avoiding rest. My God. My, Jesus. When fear enters the story, something changes. In response to the risk and need around us, we have constructed systems around labor that leave even the hardest workers vulnerable in deficits. Labor is no longer a gift. How could it be when one is withering from hunger? Labor instead becomes a means to an end, not an avenue for flourishing, but a transaction for survival. Labor is a transaction for survival. This is a grim human development, for no one wants to spend their days merely surviving. And this transaction is nearly always incongruent with the amount of labor one does. You can work, as Grandma did in California, for a full month just to be able to finally move from the shelter into low income housing. Shout out to low income housing, know that story. Meanwhile, the powerful convince us that there is not enough while their pockets spill over out in the open. They distract us from this by dangling opportunity in the opposite direction. They appear as rescuers, demanding ceaseless labor from us, but presenting it as a gift. We are expected to feel deeply lucky and even indebted to a society that allows us to work, even if that work cannot satisfy our most basic needs. And it is in this specter of scarcity that withholds the rest we have been made for. So what she is really laying out here is a theology of scarcity. Okay? And it is the specter of scarcity that withholds the rest we have been made for. The paradox being that what feels so much like risk is actually the means of restoration. Did I just not confess this? I just confessed that the risk of like, y'all gonna be there? You know, all of my labor is gonna be undone, when I'm not present. Oh my God, Cole. Oh, I'm gonna read it again. And it is the specter of scarcity that withholds the rest we have been made for. The paradox being that what feels so much like risk is actually the means of restoration. We sleep and we regenerate. Our cells begin a sacred rhythm of repair and release. And when we wake, we are more healed, more whole, less inflamed, more aware. And of course, we sleep that we might dream, a balm made of mystery, and it has been kept from so many of us. There may be the rare angelic parking lot pastor intervening in the belief that every soul deserves a place to lay their head. But some of us have come to expect exhaustion and enslavement from every soul we collide with. We become used to it, we participate in it, and then we become reckless demanders ourselves. Cole is wearing me out. God in Christ learned something of this incessant demand. In one of the Gospels, Jesus wakes up at daybreak just to go out to find a place to exhale alone for a bit. The crowds go and hunt him down, and they are clinging to him, begging him not to leave again. And Jesus puts them all in check, as if to say, "Don't you know I have other things going on? You are keeping me from my purpose." If Christ walked away, so can I. I sometimes wonder what willpower, what fidelity to rest and waiting it must have taken for God, knowing he had all the capacity and strength to heal every person in every crowd, to walk away. My God, Jesus. At first it seemed nearly callous, but it liberates me as I create boundaries in my own life. Lord. I see the longing and despair all around me. And I think of Christ lying in the boat with his head on a pillow. While the waves toss their craft around, everyone is frantic, thinking death itself has come for them, and the creator of the universe is fast asleep. Glory. Sometimes the appropriate response, the desperation, is to do the unthinkable, to close your eyes. My father, the hustler, never really learned how to rest, he says, once he started to believe that if he just worked harder, he could have a little more power over things. It was a game changer. He says, I was never the smartest person in the room, but I could outlast anyone. I had to. This was his path to exhaustion. I need to really just pause right here for a second. Y'all, I know that I am not the only one for whom this is really grabbing. Not the smartest person in the room, but you could outlast because you had to. I feel like this is graduate school all over again. I really do. I feel like, and I don't know what your experience would be, but I feel like for me, so there's a couple things, right? So there is the need to survive, and so there is sort of what I probably would be terming independence, right? I'm independent. I don't need you to do it. I don't need you to do it, you know. But that independence really comes from just watching the women in my family do this, be exhausted be exhausted as a result of them trying to survive. And so if you are not working to the same level, if you are not like turning over all the pots, if you are not like really constantly thinking how we gonna roll up out, then I'm just like I can't, I don't have the patience, right? And I'm just confessing now, right, that I really don't have the patience for it. And I feel and so then come on, Holy Ghost, speak to me. Y'all just witnessing. This is for me, so I'm just going. And so, even with a partner who may not have the same lived experiences as I do because of gender and maybe even class or community, there are ways in which this kind of exhaustion shows up in me that can be looked at as being snappy, right? Or just not caring because I have to keep it moving. The second way, in terms of graduate school, this is what graduate school is. This is how graduate school has been set up, right? It is a competition whether you want to participate in it or not. There is a way in which it is set up to exhaust you, and when you are watching folks perform in a particular way and you're saying, "Oh wow, I'm not as smart as that person." But this part I do know. So you're staying up all night. You're trying to read the ridiculous amounts of works that we professors put on you, which I have stopped doing that because it's a form of it's tyranny for me. It's why? Why? Like there has to be a way for me to teach you this canon without saying you need to read 100 pages a week out of just for this one class. There's something not okay with that for me. It's not helpful. It's harmful, and it exhausts you. And then when you literally fall because you have not rested, many won't even give you room to rest or recover because of the policies and a handbook that was written by people who could not rest. Listen, I hear you, Angelica. Yes. What's Yana? I say Yanni. What's Yana? Wait a minute. What y'all saying? What is Yana? Oh, okay, I see it. Type in the thread, Yana. You are not alone. Come on, Digi Deacon Carmen. You are not alone. Ashe, Ashe, Ashe. Yes, Kiyomi, my dear sis. I love you long time, and you get it. If no one gets it, you get it. So, I just want to say that to us. That what are we really doing certain things for? What you doing it for? Like, are we doing it because this is the call? And then we feel like because we're called, then God will equip us? Are we doing it because we want to be the first in our family to say we got this? Are we doing it to be able to say, listen, that little girl that y'all said wasn't going to be nothing now has attained the highest degree in the land? I'm not saying those things are wrong, but just notice how those things push you to exhaustion. Y'all, y'all, listen. we really do need to sit with this. I mean, I just hear Mama Audrey, you can't use the master's tools to get free. And while yes, I'm saying that already having obtained and moved through my doctoral process, some things you really can't see until you get to the other side of it. Even when you're experiencing it, because then you get to a space where you've gone too far to be able to turn back, right? But it doesn't feel like you can quite make it there. So, what Cole is providing for us is a theology of sufficiency, right? She is exposing what scarcity does. Ooh, this is a word. My God. Okay. He was just a teenager when my sister and I were born. When he was 20, he became a single father, and the tightrope he was already walking, living paycheck to paycheck, working two jobs to survive, finally snapped. All at once, he was falling and tucking our heads into his chest to brace for impact. But by some miracle, God blew his phone closer to him and mid free fall, and he caught it. So I called my sister. My Aunt Jenny, my Uncle Dave, and my grandma were all living together in California by then. They said, "Come," and he did. And when he shut the door of his two-seater Honda Accord, the car made a funny sound, something like an inhale, and leapt a few yards off the ground. And just like that, the steel and rubber reestablished themselves, and we were off. He made the 4-day journey in minutes. It was as if his family summoned him, and all the atoms of creation realigned themselves for a moment to deliver him back to them. He sleepwalked into that crowded house, and when he woke up the next morning, my sister and I were in the kitchen with my grandma and aunt making breakfast. He says, "I got up, and my sister looked at me and just said, 'Go back to bed. The girls are fine.'" This is resonating with me. And this simple moment stilled the chaos. He sauntered back to the bed that didn't belong to him and slept for 40 days and 40 nights. And who could fault him? Who could fault him for it? It was like I had been freezing for so long, and finally someone handed me a blanket. In community, we can push back on the expectation that we exhaust ourselves. It was no longer my father's lone responsibility to put his two girls to bed or braid our hair every morning. In solidarity, my father's mother and siblings made his sacrifice the sacrifice of the collective. They became harbors, allowing him to find a stability of heart, peace in a maddening world. I wish I could say my father's peace remained, but anxiety is not a passive predator. It is awful that what God meant as a gift in the garden, the honor of labor, has become the mechanism by which our bondage survives. I still call my father and beg him to take a day off, but I have become more sympathetic to his plight. He was formed in uncertainty, uncertain of food, of place, of worth. It does not matter that he is safe now and has enough. The memory followed him. Some remnant of it clings to him even now. Activist and theologian Tricia Hersey says, "This is literally life or death. It's the matter of whether or not we're doing it's the matter of whether or not we're going to stop and listen and slow down and reclaim our bodies." She says to not rest is really being violent toward your body, to align yourself with a system that says your body does not belong to you. Keep working. You are simply a tool of our production. But this violence has come to be celebrated and rewarded, and now we demand as much from one another as what has been demanded of us. We are seldom impressed by simplicity, unless it is the kind inflated with theatrics, which inevitably draws attention to itself. Capsule wardrobes, minimalism, van life, and still is, in a manner, doing. But we fall on our knees at the sight of a man working 60 hours a week for his law firm in the city. We are in awe of the violence. And we conflate these idols with God Himself. We become obsessed with the language of how God might use us, never pausing to ask ourselves, what if God doesn't always want to use you? What if sometimes God just wants to be with you? We've become estranged from this idea. We would never articulate it as such, but undergirding much of our concept of calling is the belief that our primary relationship to God is anchored in transaction. That our primary relationship with God is anchored in transaction. God, Cole says, resists this. People think the Sabbath is antiquated, and I think it will save us from ourselves. When God tells the Israelites to practice rest, He uses the memory of their bondage to awaken them to what could be. Remember that you were a slave in the land of Egypt, and the Lord your God brought you out from there with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. Therefore, the Lord your God commanded you to keep the Sabbath day. When we rest, we do so in memory of rest denied. We receive what has been withheld from ourselves and our ancestors. And our present respite or respite draws us into a remembrance of those who were not permitted it. Hersey says that, quote, our dream space has been stolen, that there has been a theft, a complete theft. What could have happened if our ancestors had a space to rest, if they were allowed to dream, end quote. When I rest my eyes, I meet those ancestors and they meet me. As time itself blurs between us, they tell me to sit back. They tell me to breathe. They tell me to walk like they couldn't. Rest is an act of defiance, and it cannot be predicated on apology. It's the audacity to face the demands of this world and proclaim, we will not be owned. We will not return to the chains that once held us. They are brittle and tarnished from our tears, which made the flood. Remember, you were never meant to prove your dignity. You, whose flesh contains more bodies than your own. You don't belong in the catacombs of restlessness, wandering from death to die, wandering from death to death. Lie down with me in the pasture, where life is alive and growing with the unapologetic slowness of a blade of grass. What will become of us? We will be free, and we will be dreaming. This is the word of God for the people of God. And together we say, thanks be to God, my Lord. What will become? We will be dreaming. Lay down with me in the pastures. My goodness is what I can say. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What did you have them post, Carmen Yana? You are not alone. You are not alone. You're not alone, you're not alone, you're not alone. My goodness, my goodness, my goodness is what I can say. Jesus. Woo, Cole Arthur Riley, you have given us such a powerful missive. I mean, you have given us a way. Hold on one second, friends. Jesus. Go ahead and put your comments in the chat right now as I prepare. Eee. My God, today. What shall we say unto these things? What shall we say unto these things? Mm, mm, mm. So, friends, our time has come to an end. I'm just gonna do 15 minutes until 9:30 here on in our Hush Harbor, in our clearing. There's some things I want to share with those who are attending the clearing, and just to have a moment for us to exhale. So for those who inevitably will be looking for the information, it's in the chat. I put it both on Facebook and on YouTube. I invite you to come on over. Please remember Yanni, our dear sibling Yanni. Go back up to the the beginning of the chat to find her, to find their link to aid and assist. As always, for those of you who continue to give to us, this is our PayPal at Pink Robe Chronicles. We thank you. I know that there are so many asks going on in the world right now, but I know that there are those of you who have made this your place of giving. And so I'd be remiss not to share with you how to give in this way. So may the precious Spirit be with us together until we meet again, one from another. This we ask in the precious name, Ashe. Let me just go here right quick before I end this. Ashe, 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 oh. The name of this book, for those who are asking, is This Here Flesh. There is no password, y'all. Let me send y'all the link. Now, this is where we not going to start. Natasha not here, and I'm not getting ready to do this with y'all. So let me just... There's no password, friends. People are coming in. There's no password. No password, no password. Come on in. Let me send it to you this way. Okay. All right. Y'all got it? Got it? You got it. Okay. I'm getting ready to end this right now.